was it, less than 48 hours ago, we saw a core joy in the EXP lane. So who knows if that might be key here to cutting straight through Yehezkiel, taking his KDA down from 20 to something more reasonable.
If the game might be, in our minds, not as close, the drafting 100% should be. It's going to be a chess match for these two. TLID, when they're on the blue side, 50% win rate. Or Twisted Minds, blue side win rate is at 60%. It's TLID on the blue. Now, priority picks. Even trying to think of the priority is difficult for me. But I like how Twisted Minds are prioritizing two comforts. Fanny on Fabian and the Hilda for Aran.
Don't forget about the Bruno as well. Both teams play a mean Bruno. So taking that out of the way kind of makes the gold lane just a wee bit more volatile. But I do want to play devil's advocate here, right? Because so far, we only get 6 bans in the very first phase, 3 for each of these teams. They need to make sure they get rid of poor strategies on top of getting rid of strong picks like Jushin, like the Phoveus. 2 of which, Loyi and as well as the Chip. Both have been used by either one of these teams. That map presence is a very powerful tool.
Will it be a Blue Yo for TLID? No, it's a Joe for Widdy, and they get the best hero for their roamer that really knows how to, with pinpoint accuracy, read the map.
That's right. It's the second most picked blue side in this very spot. 13 going into today. Second only to Hylos, who still is at large, by the way. You also have the Suyo, so you can go Suyo X here for Twisted Minds. I think that's a solid pickup for the Mejai Hoda. Doesn't really dictate much of your lineup, too.
It doesn't. I do think that at the very least, the Gato might be taken into the consideration here, right? Because we've seen time and time again that shows opening up the map, the biggest problem is dealing with a roamer who kind of goes at your face and locks you down, even for just a little bit, if not threatens your life total. So taking the flex pick into the TLID, being that X for you on top of Redyo.
Twisted Minds are going to ride the sands with Khalid with... Wait, did you just say Redyo?
Yes.
He took his shot.
Yeah, I gotta try. It's Blueyo and Redyo at this point, right? I mean, nobody is letting the Suyo go for free.
Sure. TLID get a comfort for Fabian in the alpha, and that pairs up very well with an Eve. Team fighting is the approach of TLID, but of course, when you have the Cho there with you, it opens up the map a little bit. They don't need to be boxed into their own box. There's enough room for creativity. But I think Twisted Minds read into it because that Khalid pick that early usually signals acceptance of Eve on the other side.
I think it's Valentina for this upcoming pick, right? It makes sense. Cuffin has done a very phenomenal job on his own Valentina, especially since he's already played this into a Eve before.
Yeah, and the Khalid, if you're like thinking 70-80%, put it into the rope. Could this be a Sicilian? Yes, this is what I was saying. Is you could flex it and think of one more peel. Because if this was going to be the Sicilian, the Khalid won't protect you. There's no way. So you can still draft in a way to get good peel for the Sicilian.
Actually, does that mean that this guarantees that the TLID is going into the EXP lane as a response to the Phoveus getting banned from TLID?
It's gotta be.
I'm leaning a little bit more towards that too. The roamer here for Twisted Minds. Well, I think they're also going to look at what the matchup might be later. Because they can still Gatot into this. And usually the Twisted Minds, yeah, they flex that Gatot around, really, depending on the situation. So if you want to play into that Eve, you pick up the formation breakers, the ones that are easily going to be able to jump onto that Eve.
Or the Carmilla, if they somehow end up with it.
Oh, they'll pull
wild. I mean, we talked about this in the first Best of T today. If you pick up the Carmilla and you have an Eve, the Eve is forced to abandon her RWM because of the threat of the Curse of Blood.
Yeah, it's a huge threat for an Eve, so let's see if they're going to lean into that. This time, a fun fact for TLID as they wait for their next ban. Fabian, Aaron, Shiki, and Widdy used to push ranks together before starting their professional career. So that is many years, many months, many games worth of chemistry already built up between these two, even before TLID. No wonder they climbed up so fast up the rankings into becoming kings in ID.
First, they grind the stars, then they become the stars.
Ooh, that's a story for this young cavalry from Indonesia. 1-1 gets taken out by Liquid. They are now looking into respecting the gold lane picks, as Twisted Minds have that advantage as they can go pick their gold laner fourth while taking away picks from Aaron Shiki.
I feel like the 1-1 probably wasn't necessary, but it does give an indicator that TLID, St. DeLuca specifically, is saying, hey, we're going to punish your gold laner, like really, really hard. We want to be able to make sure that Widdy is able to get on top of you and you can't do anything about it. They're down roll.
Yeah, no freebies, no free cleanses. If you want to get away from the wise kick, then you gotta have Purify.
What else can they go for? Still a lot of gold laners off the board. For TLID, they can still go for
Granger's
long-range
still out
poke. Yeah, as the Granger is still there. High loss gets taken out by Twisted Minds, so they want to take away the formation breakers. That's usually a sign that they might have a jumper as another pick so that they'll be able to avoid getting their formation easily broken and chopped up by a high loss. I'm still leaning towards a Gatot for them. They can go Gatot, Bea. Oh no, but with the Bea, might be tough with the Eve available.
Yeah, it will be a little tough, but I feel like it's better just to deny it from your opponents right now, because I feel like it works so much better for TLID's composition to round it out compared to Twisted Minds, where at the very least, you have combo starters, but at least you're not building an entire team designed around that one big burst.
Yeah. Okay, if Twisted Minds leans into the idea of trying to counter that Eve, they can pick up an Irithel for themselves later. However, TLID, I wouldn't be so mad if they went hardcore magic. They already have true damage in the alpha. Why not pair up that Eve with a Nathan?
Oh,
That's true, because so far, there's no true cores.
yes, yes. Actually, it works both ways, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about scaling and self-peel. And that's something that even Twisted Minds, to a certain degree, need to think about as well. So I think it's a bit of a trade-off, right? Showing the gold lane at this point of time to give TLID the option is interesting. So they're going to go with the Gatot first, as you called it, Renmar. So now they have a disengage mechanic.
I'm with it. They need that Nathan. We need to see Nathan shaky. There's not enough damage on TLID right now.
Yeah, and if they go Nathan, if they go lean into that idea, which last pick hero does really good against both Nathan and Eve? The Irithel.
Both are pretty decent here. We'll see. We'll see whether TLID is going to take that into account, because first of all, they need to figure out what matchup they need for the EXP lane. Because if they go for something like Terizla, now there is a threat to your backline as well, on top of dealing with Witty the Wise.
About this draft, Twisted Minds are surprising me with their decisions in a good way.
Yeah, the possibilities, even down to these last picks.
Good answers. Very good answers by TLID. Instead of going for an obvious approach, they get out of their box, they go Moskov, and they go out of the box with the glue.
Yep, that's going to get a flicker on it. I am 99% sure that Aaron's going to put a flicker on that.
Yeah.
He's going to look for that Sicilian.
And now the decision here for Twisted Minds is, will you have enough, or are you just going to default into a Bea, but with the presence of glue and an Eve? It's so hard to team fight as a Bea here. If you try to go mobile as an Irithel, it's like, are you going to have enough damage for that glue?
I have to agree. I was thinking maybe even Terizla to kind of go through the traditional way of playing a Eve composition, but this is much better because you can really take your time with it to bait out those battle spells. And now with the Granger, at the very least, we know what Twisted Minds want to do. Poke out your opponents, use ults to disengage, and if an opening shows itself, go all in.
I was going into that thinking Twisted Minds would win the draft, and suddenly swerved by TLID. It looks good. Mirko, Brigida, it's game number 1. What do you guys think about the draft?
I think that TLID have adjusted really well heading into the latter portions of the M6, whereas Twisted Express, they're here seeking to redeem themselves from their previous losses. Welcome to the Caster's Desk. It's Brigida and Mirko once again. And this is the second series of the day. I wonder if we're going 3 games this time.
Hey, I really hope we go 3 games, right? Match number 1, everybody at home expected it to maybe go all the way through. Maybe some people expected the other team to win. Unfortunately, you don't always get what you want, right? Here, TLID versus Twisted Minds, it's another example of that. A lot of people are expecting TLID to win, but Twisted Minds might be able to just pull off this late game composition with Sicilian on Coffin. That's a signature.
Yep, the momentum is definitely there for the Young Cavalry, but this time around they're going up against the Twisted Express. Let's see how this game goes for both of these teams seeking to punch their tickets to the knockouts. One thing that I would also like to talk about is just the amount of zone control that you have to pay attention to when it comes to TLID. I think that their lineup right now, you could expect it to be very chaotic, but I think they kind of thrive in that. They like all the chaos that could potentially come out.
And for Team Liquid ID, though, again, the Moskov was a great pick. The glue as well goes and does a lot in the chaotic duels. Hold up, Sanguine Claws, Aran might actually be caught. Pops in the sprint, Hoda comes in, secures first blood. Liquid ID, I was about to say Yves is very one-dimensional. You go in for the RWM and Troll can jump on you, Hoda and Sanji especially too.
Yeah, but TLID definitely, they're planning to do the same. And what a way to start your farming here for Hoda. He just walked into a kill, an early kill for Twisted Mind. So that's definitely something they'd be really happy about. But Fabian goes in with the Spear of Alpha, forces out the Flicker from Troll. So it seems like we're just having some exchanges here and there of like skills and resources baited out in the early game.
You can definitely see here for the emblems, the Master Assassin actually, Moscow, Aaron Shiki, on one of his comfort picks in MPL Indonesia with the Master Assassin, definitely wants to get the dual power here in the lane. And so far, it's actually been doing a pretty good. Sano forced back into his turret, and that's a freeze already set up for Aaron Shiki.
I mean, by the moment he actually guarantees that advantage in the lane, he can all the more just throw out the Spear of Destruction, going the team fights, but Witty seems like he's poked really low right here prior to the turtle. So let's see how this goes for TLID because he has skill as well. He seems that he's very, very low, forces the Flicker out, and now it's Troll with that sand. Wait, there's so many jumps happening all over the map. Hoda gets the turtle.
And that's, Fabian who gets the kill back again. Cuffin will be able to still stay pretty safe. That's the immobility over to Hoda. Hoda pops in back. That is turtle and kill for Twisted Mind. So a winning trade. Fabian, though, very active, staying on it. Going to the purple buff, does not have the retribution, but does get that Spear of Alpha to displace the purple buff and will be able to take that away.
And I mean, all of the sides are seemingly quiet as of now, especially Aaron Shiki. He's managing the lanes really, really well, forcing a reaction out of Twisted Mind. So now definitely we'll be seeing a lot more rotations, and as of the moment, as early as now, Hoda seems like there was an attempt onto Aram, but I don't know if like you would want to go after the glue. At this point, look at Aram just being able to sustain and take the advantage against Sanji. But here in the middle lane, Troll won't be able to use the Raging Sandstorm to get away.
Yup, SOD missing there. Great pickoff, though. They're able to get Troll down, though I think the timing needs to be a bit better for Liquid. Again, for Twisted Mind, similarly to match number one. Aaron, Spear of Misery, locking him down. The Spear of Alpha, 2 to double spears. Aaron and Fabian together, getting it down.
That was unfortunate. Blade Surge into the right mid bush, expecting someone or not knowing that there were actually 3 persons waiting for you there. More unfortunately so that Aaron Shiki was one of them. Just a Spear of Misery right into his face. And now Team Liquid ID, they actually get hold of the lead against Twisted Minds. So we're starting to see how TLID is sort of really adapted and adjusted, even similar to yesterday. Like, we're seeing a lot more sacrificial plays, especially in terms of their roamer Witty. It's not entirely just looking for the setups and all that. It's gathering the information and allowing all the other players to manage from there. But speaking of manage from there...
Great timing with the Spear of Alpha. They waited for the AOG, and once he channeled it, it was straight into the Spear he goes. Now, 1-man advantage. Twisted Minds, they're going to utilize this advantage. Straight up, blitzing the turtle. Here, Witty! Wait, the Dragon, the Jikundo canceled out by the Sanguine Claws. Now Witty will not be able to secure it. SOD! Aaron Shiki dives into the back.
That's a second turtle that goes into the hand of Twisted Minds, but they're not stopping right there. They're looking after Cuffin, and they will take him down. But Aaron Shiki dodges the Avatar of the Guardian, and there goes the reinward manipulation. He might just be able to outmaneuver all of these players from Twisted Minds.
Aaron Shiki saved by a head skill, and a great blink again from him to escape harm's way. Oh my lord! What happened to Aaron? Earlier in the tournament, a lot of people were already using the Aaron Shaky nickname. Now it seems like Aaron Shaky's back.
He actually seemed like he found his footing. He's so comfortable playing whatever gold lane you provide to him, and right now, just look at the amount of assisting that TLID is actually providing him. They're currently acknowledging the power spikes that they have, and this is a really great early game from them, if I must say. Look at the gold differences. It's not that significant just yet in terms of the gold lane, but looking at Fabian and Hoda, that's a completely different conversation.
Fabian on the Alpha is actually one of the picks that
5-0.
you can just never give out. Oh my, no way. Aaron, great dodge from Hoda. That could have been lethal from downtown all the way from the bottom lane. But yeah, no, Fabian on the Alpha in MPL Indonesia, it's so respected. Everybody, no one actually wants to go up against this. Everybody's quite scared of the Alpha pick, especially when you combine it together with Witty on a Cho or an Alpha. Anyway, just to create an opening for the Alpha itself. it was so scary. Teams would actually be scared of the Angela Alpha. Liquid would actually, they were brave enough to do that.
Yeah, I mean, they started off the TWIS stage with an Angela Ling even, right? So they're very much confident in terms of those kinds of duos. But if you were Twisted Minds in this kind of situation, who are you actually going after? The bounty on Fabian, it's so high, but at the same time, are you confident enough to be able to take him out once you actually find a way to reach him? Because if ever you do focus so much of your resources on this jungler, then there's this SOD, there's the potential zoning that can come up from the other members of TLID, and that's another uncontested turtle that goes into their hands. But actually, that's the first turtle that they get, right? Twisted Minds, they've been securing the first 2 turtles so far.
Yeah, they've just been losing the fights. Witty goes over to Jikundo, will not commit the way the Dragon knows that Twisted Minds have already started their rotation up top. Hoda, very aggressively walking forward, will be caught by the Spear of Misery, but for Liquid ID, they do not want that smoke. Right now, they got the neutral objective. It will just be a trade on the map. You can see why they didn't go for it. Fabian was on the other side of the map, just farming it up, and Aran now gets hit by a few bad impacts. Fabian, so brave, on the turret, takes it away. Sanji, you've got to be careful now. You can see the patience from Fabian, will not use the Spear of Alpha. RWM, real world manipulation. SOD, Aaron Shiki, again with a dive. Sanji missing out the taunt. Troll going for it. Aaron Shiki, oh what? Troll, Raging Sandstorm in the flicker. It misses, it's wide, and Aaron capitalizes. Aran, split, bringing it back. Sanji all the way to the slices of Fave under the turret. It's a monster kill. Now it's holding up Fabian! No way with the Spear of Alpha! Turns it around!
He was able to sustain all that! And for the second time around, Aaron Shiki as well escapes death. He's constantly able to judge and move away from all these threats. And TLID finally gained access to these turrets that they really wanted to take. But Twisted Minds, what is happening? We haven't been seeing them hit all those AoE skills on point just yet up against TLID. It seems like it's a constant miss here and there whenever they try to go for the counter engages.
Flavor Fave, what was that? Spear of Alpha turning it around, and like you mentioned, yeah, Troll. I guess overshooting it. Sanji's got to be careful here. If he walks up and he gets kicked back or even CC'd, Fabian is 7-0.
He is 7-0.
I think we've had a bad taste of Alpha in the TWIS stage, right? Alpha hasn't really been winning games. That you forget how scary a snowballing Alpha looks like.
He's going legendary at this point. I'm just waiting for it to pop up, right? If he gets another kill up against Twisted Minds, and this is no joke, they're having a hard time trying to look for the plays, look for the setups. It's always been some sort of a reactive play, a response from Twisted Minds, and even the mere presence of Aran here. He's disrupting so much of Twisted Minds in terms of positioning, and they just keep playing the chaotic plays, but the amount of damage they're starting to be gradually built up here by Twisted Minds, but Aran, you will still go in!
Against 4 members, is able to just split out, actually. All right. That was just... He just walked up, man.
Walked under the turret.
Super confident. Now purple buff stolen as well. Liquid ID still building with the Lord. It's a slow push up top. They're going to go for the siege in the mid lane. Fabian looking for an angle. They will not bite on it just yet. They will just go bot, play it slow, and siege it down properly, disciplinedly.
Yep. Yeah, all of the resources are actually still up for both of these teams. Even for Twisted Minds, you have to take into account that 2 heroes rather are on Purify. So if you were TLID, you really want to be careful with whatever engages you are going after next. Coffin is also there. He's gradually picking up the damage, but Witty on the conceal. Twisted Minds know of these plans, and the plan just seems to be to take out all the outer and inner turrets from Twisted Minds.
Holy Defense in the mid lane popped already. They dealt with the Holy Defense up top. Winichi Kundo and the Spear of Alpha, the Purify from Sano, but they're going to be caught in the same CC. Troll, Raging Sandstorm, that's a 3-man Sanguine Claw. Hoda going in, but pinned down again by Aaron Shiki.
How were they able to sustain all that under the turret? Just when we thought that Twisted Minds were able to actually put an on-point skill, but Aaron Shiki uses the flicker as well. He still gets to dodge the avatar of the Guardian, and then stuns too onto the wall with the follow-up real-world manipulation. It is a double kill for Yeskiel.
Aaron Shiki, what was that? SOD to 3, the Spear of Misery after dodging everything. Twisted Minds They're going to try to defend. An arrow again. Flavor in the back. And look at that damage. The cavalry are charging through Twisted Minds. 11 minutes.
I don't know if that was the fastest we've seen today, but it seems like it is. The momentum is there for the young cavalry. And they just knew what to do from start to finish. Twisted Minds barely got to move around that map, barely got to do anything to counter what TLID was doing against them.
Hey, that's the TLID I remember, at least from MPLID.
That's the TLID everyone wants to see. Now let's hear what the panelists have to say about game number 1.
Huh. Sort of felt like Twisted Minds were trying to out-brawl the champions of the Brawl meta. Then they were just straight up outplayed by all of them. Mainly the main focal points that we were looking at Yehezkiel and Eronchiki.
After the first verse, it seemed like Liquid were already freestyling.
Yeah.
Even moves as funny as, all right, I'm going to conceal. You go this way, I go that way. For Weedy the Wise. It just seemed like the team trusted each other, trusted the process, and understood that their mechanics and their draft were superior to Twisted Minds if they made the right decision over and over and over again. And as Renmar mentioned, Twisted Minds somehow thought it was a wise idea to brawl against Liquid.
Nah, that's one of the few mistakes that they made. I mean, there was a bunch of mistakes mechanically, if we're being perfectly honest on a technical level. But as we pull up the item build, I think it's going to make perfect sense to you how much of a lead that TLID was able to generate for themselves. And honestly, they didn't have to work extremely hard. I think one of the key fights happening was on that very first turtle. And from that point onwards, when you see Fabian going into the enemy jungle against the Suyo, he's just doing alpha things. Keep applying the pressure, keep absorbing the goal, make sure that he's poor, you're getting richer every stage of the game.
Fabian's the alpha male, huh?
He's the alpha.
Yeah, and looking at TLID, how they played this, I like that you guys pointed out that eventually at some point it looked like they were freestyling. Twisted Minds got to the heights that they were able to achieve in MPL MENA because of their ruthless, systematic approach. When they were the Twisted Express, when they were humbled and had to evolve into something a little bit more calculated into their championship form in MENA Season 6. And you saw that. Hoda got the turtles, man. He got 2 of them, 4 Twisted Minds. They were winning the nice positioning, the retro battles, but the things in between the objective team fights, the skirmishes in the river where you're getting vision, the ganks, that's where they were losing to against TLID.
Even the small moments where Insano would try to get stacks on his Capriccio, Weedy, Gideon noticed in games like, oh, he's blocking them. He's not allowing Sano to get stacks, which explains 0, 1, and 0 on Saudi Gold. Like, he just could not shine. And true to their nature, Twisted Minds, the games they lost in early days of Swiss were fast games. 11 minutes, 8 seconds. This was a Liquid stampede.
Yep, this was, man, when you're under the feet of the cavalry, it's really hard to get back up. And there's so many moments when, honestly, Twisted Minds had, honest to God, they had the tools, but it's extremely volatile. When you are pressured and to defensively use your battle spells, you are also taking away, you're blunting the blade. Because the only way that they could turn this around was probably with Troll, with that Raging Sandstorm onto Eronchiki, because he can't stop that. All he can try and do is dodge it, and most of the time, Eronchiki, he's dashing forwards already, leaving his battle spell wide open to be blown for free.
Before this game, Yehezkiel had a total KTA of 13 kills, 45 freaking assists, and just 4 deaths. That is an insane stat line. And again, when you are a team that go freestyle in other positions, but then have a very clear idea of supplementing your mint and gold, this is what you get.
Just one part of it, honestly. There's also the level of hero mastery. Because think about it. If we're talking about freestyling, the freestyling hero of all time, Witty on this show, could have been flexing on them even harder. But he didn't. He was leaving the job to Eronchiki as well as Fabian, trusting that Yehezkiel can kind of help out and supplement in these smaller areas. And I think that Fabian played an extremely good game. He has played against this Suyo matchup many, many times, and he knows the full extent of when he is strong and when exactly he's weak.
Hey, Fabian plays a mean Suyo too, so he knows where the Suyo would be if he were playing that in this situation. You remember that jungle take where he pushed out the buff away from the Sicilian and the Suyo.
Yep.
Great small micro moment that allowed for the rest of the map to be taken over by the likes of their other cores. And look at who's taking advantage of all that. Aaron Shiki.
You could definitely say that after the draft decisions by TLID to swerve expectations, suddenly bringing in the glue and even a surprising Moskov pickup, I wouldn't say that Twisted Minds from then on, oh, you're clearly going to lose this. No, there was a way if you play better. But then as we saw it go on, there really just looks like there was a clear mechanical difference between of these two, the execution difference between of these two. And it calls back to what you mentioned about 3 of the 5 members of TLID, how long they've been playing together, Widdy, Fabian, and if I'm not mistaken,
Shiki.
Aaron Shiki. Yep. So the fact that you've had that long chemistry even before you made it to the pro scene, I think now I fully understand the brilliance of Team Liquid ID. It's chemistry and it's just strong individual mechanics.
Like an unbelievable amount of trust, right? Because even in moments like this, in
this
that particular dive, you see the ankle break coming out from Aaron Shiki himself, right? He probably should have been the first one to take aggro there, but he did and still come out of it scot-free.
Yeah, they look like a center trying to defend a point guard. The center is Shaq. I mean, no offense to Shaq. I mean, Shaq isn't going to hear this. He doesn't even...
Yeah, Dr. Shaq.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, Dr. Shaq, of course, his doctorate degree. And for Twisted Minds, it's hard for me to think of a remedy of a diagnosis that we could give them. It looked like, really, that was so doable. You cannot say draft L. Not at all. It's really just... Yo, Liquid played way better.
Yeah, it's clear because the heroes that came out in this game, both coaches, both teams saw from a mile away, given what they were allowing. So I 110% agree that it came down to better gameplay second to second.
Yep. I mean, there are obviously some like winning matchups in both the EXP as well as the jungle side, but I feel like the Moskov, pure ego pick coming down from Aaron Shiki is like, I mean, I'm going to take Flicker. If they hit me, sure, but they won't.
Yeah, and it was a W ego pick at that. So TLID are one game away from making it to the knockout stages. They currently lead over Twisted Minds, a champion of MPL MENA. And yeah, I think we've said all that we could have said for that one. Going into the next, again, it's so hard. Usually this is where we say, oh, where can we fix it in the draft? It's like, is there still something that they can switch up in the draft? Should they not give the Cho to Widdy?
It was a first pick Cho.
Yeah.
What do they change? Fanny, Hilda, Jushin. Do they risk the Jushin?
That's why. See, it's tough.
I would say they need to streamline exactly what they want to do in-game. They need to plan everything from where the jungle is going to path, how the positions of the side lane need to look like before that first initial gank, maybe even a macro feint. But I don't think at this point TLID is taking into account the macro feints just yet because they're already winning on a lane-to-lane basis. So now streamline your strategy to be towards the gold lane anyways because that's how they've always been playing. Mid lane is a bit of a sacrifice, but EXP is too far away to actually be reinforcements unless you do some cheeky things with a bit of a lane swap.
Everything that you've said, Gideon, sounds like a lot to do in such a short amount of time, and I don't think Twisted Minds have that kind of time going into game number 2. Speaking of time, this is indeed, ladies and gentlemen, the M6 Dream Watch by Fairy. Luxury meets gaming with Fairy's first M6 Swiss watch is a special jewelry collection for Jushin and Mia. That's also there, and brand new champion rings and medals. Follow at Fairy World on TikTok and Instagram for updates. You can also check out their website.
I can do that too.
Are you trying to be Green Fairy as well?
Yes.
There's only 2 green fairies.
It's not a good enough substitute, you know. I can't. There's not.
It don't look Swiss made, brother. It don't look Swiss made.
Is that Crystal Sapphire?
No.
Is that Dragon Hide Leather?
It's what we call plastique. Hey, you're really leaning onto the idea of what I told you earlier to not let it anywhere near me?
I'm rationing it out. I'm eating only every single one of these ad reads on purpose. Here, here's yours.
Your allowance.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much.
Keep in mind, hello.